Let's take a look at our lineup today here on the Now. We all know about 911, but soon 988 could be just as important. How that new number could save thousands of lives a year. Now, it's frustrating when the power goes out unexpectedly, and there's a new tool that could help prevent this, how it's finding problems on utility lines before an outage happens. And we know companies like Amazon and Facebook track us, but you likely don't expect that your bank is taking advantage of your spending habits. Well, it's starting to happen, and ahead we're going to talk about how they're cashing in.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Amanda Starrentino, and you're watching the Now Indy. Giving Tuesday just gained a whole new meaning. A local domestic violence shelter says donations made today could save a life. Our TV6's Troy Washington is working for you to explain just how far those funds go.
I was at the lowest point of my life. My self-esteem was like down to zero.
Yvette Smith remembers the exact moment she decided enough was enough. She wasn't going to let her boyfriend beat her anymore.
My daughter has seen so much. The look on her face the day that he threw all of our stuff out in the middle of the street, she like just broke down.
Seeing her teenage daughter in pain gave her the push to leave, but she had nowhere to turn. So for 2 weeks, the mother and daughter called their car home. One night, Smith says she found herself looking to God.
I was like, just give me a sign.
The next morning, she walked into a store and saw the sign that changed her life. It was a Julian Center flyer.
It was just like the lights went on, and I was like, I'm going to call this number.
This Giving Tuesday, Smith remembers that dark moment that made this bright one possible after picking up the phone and calling the Julian Center.
I'm a survivor because of them.
The goal of this Giving Tuesday is to raise $11,000 because that's how much it takes to keep this center open per day. That's why when you click this button, you're doing more than just giving money.
Truly, someone's gift today may save a survivor's life.
Catherine Connor is a shelter CEO. She says choosing to give to help domestic violence survivors is a life-changing donation.
You're giving the gift of independence.
The money given covers food. It makes sure survivors have the money they need to travel to make it to where they need to go. It also covers counseling to start towards the road to recovery and hope.
When I got here, they treated me as if I had already won the battle.
6 months later, Smith is ready to step out on her own with a much different stride than before. Reporting downtown, Troy Washington, RTV6.
And the shelter is using their social media platform to push their Giving Tuesday goal. You can also find a link to give on their website. And as part of Giving Tuesday, today the PNC Bank Foundation gifted a total of $100,000 to 4 Indianapolis organizations to boost educational opportunities for Indianapolis preschoolers. First stop, the Indianapolis Zoo, where they delivered a check for $25,000 for the zoo's pre-K program to help kids who might not normally get to come to the zoo to pay a visit. It's all part of PNC's nationwide Grow Up Great program.
Providing quality educational opportunities for kids birth to age 5 that are underserved in the community. We're celebrating 15 years this year of Grow Up Great. Started in 2004 as a program that our employees, when surveyed, they said we want to help the youngest learners in the country, and this is the way that we decided to go ahead and bring that initiative to life.
In addition to the Indianapolis Zoo, the other organizations that each received $25,000 checks: Indianapolis Public Library, Edna Martin Christian Center, and Teachers Treasures.
Late day sunshine, nice little boost there to.
It's a nice little gift.
Yeah, right before sunset, and it sets the stage for tomorrow. And I think we'll put a little pep in your step tomorrow. Temperature's 39. We did make it to 40 today. The goal tomorrow, up and over that 40-degree mark, and I think we'll accomplish it because the wind is changing direction. It's been out of the west-northwest. As we come around to the southwest, that will gradually draw warmer temperatures into the state. Bye-bye to any snow flurries. Maybe a few of you saw some, especially between Muncie and Richmond. Those are headed off to the east, and we zoom in. There's your clearing line. Anywhere west of Indy now, a lot more in the way of clear skies. That sets the stage for some sunshine tomorrow. Even on Thursday, we should have a decent amount of sunshine. That is a change from where we've been. But as we've talked about before, December, typically one of the cloudier months of the year. Temperature as warm as 41 in Bloomington, as cool as 38 in Lafayette. There's the wind direction out of the southwest. That will prop temperatures up a little bit, despite the fact that our sky is clearing right now. That wind tomorrow will be much stronger, gusting over 20 miles per hour.
A big announcement out of the race for 2020 today as California Senator Kamala Harris has dropped out of the running for the Democratic nomination. Harris has struggled to gain significant traction in the past few months. Well, there's some progress in reducing racial bias within the criminal justice system. The Council on Criminal Justice releasing new findings showing the racial gap between white and black inmates in both local jails and state prisons is closing. Now, in 2000, there were 9 African-American men in state prison for every white inmate. In 2016, that gap shrank to 6-to-1. The racial gap in women also dropping during that time. Disparities between Hispanics and whites are also shrinking. The divide is also lessening for all major crimes. But the biggest change is fewer minorities are serving time for drug offenses. The report also pointed out that some significant racial disparities are still within the system. Now, people of color are still seeing longer sentences and parole terms.
If there's one thing that really jumps out from the report is the need to take a closer look at criminal history. People of color tend to have more extensive criminal histories on account of a lot of the policing and arrests that were made over the years, and there really needs to be a reckoning with what does all that mean for sentencing and parole decisions today.
The group's president hopes that policymakers and criminal system leaders can use the report to diagnose and tackle what's happening in their own system.
We really hope that people who are interested in criminal justice reform take this as a source of inspiration, that we can do something about these problems. Progress is possible.
Meanwhile, there is still a large disparity in acknowledging crime victims of color. The Associated Press found over the past 30 years, more than 8 in 10 laws created in memory of violent crime victims were named after white victims. For example, in Ohio, 2 young students were both abducted and murdered recently. A new bill was passed in the name of the white victim. One in honor of the black teen did not.
It was hurtful because I thought that the bill having her name on it would be a part of her legacy.
Aliana's alert, which failed to pass, would have required schools to inform parents within an hour if a child without an excuse didn't show up to class. The law named after Reagan Tokes essentially keeps certain felons behind bars longer. All right, let's get back to our lineup and detecting power outages before they happen. We're checking out a new tool that utility companies are starting to use.
At purple.com/TV.
A Southern Indiana high school student's quick thinking is credited for saving the lives of a family. 19-year-old Bailey Blanton of Jeffersonville was working on his brother's car Thanksgiving Day. Blanton says he got out from under the car and noticed the house down the street was on fire. He told his dad to call 911, and then Blanton took off running to that house. He discovered the front door was unlocked, so he rushed inside to search for the family.
I just kind of started counting as many people as I could as they were running out and making sure that they had everybody and things that they would need. Like they had a dog, and one of them was carrying the dog out.
Bailey says he doesn't like being called a hero. He says he's just happy he could help and that he treats others as he would want to be treated.
Utilities are getting new help detecting problems with power lines before an outage or even a bigger issue happens. It's new technology that could help during everything from hurricanes to wildfires. Engineers at Texas A&M coming up with the tool that monitors circuits and automatically looks for things that are failing.
Today, the only way a utility person knows that a circuit is unhealthy is when they've already had the outage. They already have people calling saying my power's out. They've already started a fire, or they already have a line down on the ground.
Now, around a dozen utilities across the country are testing this diagnostic tool. It includes several California utilities that turned power off in the last few months to prevent wildfires during high winds.
We have utilities who have been able to find and fix failing devices before an outage ever occurred. And those utilities have told us if that persisted, if we hadn't known about it to go fix it, we definitely would have had an outage, and in some cases, we definitely would have had a line down on the ground.
Now, this new technology isn't cheap, but the engineers who developed it say it is inexpensive compared to other things being proposed to help prevent wildfires. At this point, it's not clear how it could impact your utility costs. Well, here's something to think about before you buy a TV this holiday season. The FBI is warning your smart TV could be spying on you. Yeah, agents say you want to make sure you know your TV's security settings. There are concerns that the TV's apps and features could be vulnerable to hacking. New cars are expensive, we know that, but there's some good news here that they aren't much more expensive than this time last year. Kelley Blue Book says new vehicle prices only went up 1%. Experts say dealerships have big inventories, which is leading to some big discounts. Now, ahead into the lineup, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is currently a 10-digit phone number, which can be hard to remember in a crisis. We're going to talk about how that could be changing.
As the survivor of my brother's suicide, it really means so much to me to know that lives will be saved.
We're getting a look at the efforts to have a shorter number available to call for help.
For only $89 for On Time.
It's an emergency number that could become as commonly known as 911. 988 could become the new emergency number for suicide prevention. The change has bipartisan support in Congress, and the Federal Communications Commission will vote on it next week. But as Maya Rodriguez tells us, supporters hope it can help save thousands of lives a year.
They are 3 simple digits that could be the difference between life and death.
I think that shortening the number to 3 digits really has the opportunity to save so many lives.
988 is a proposed 3-digit number on the verge of becoming the new nationwide hotline for suicide prevention.
The prominence that this 3-digit number will bring to suicide prevention is extraordinary.
Allison Malman is the founder of Active Minds, a national nonprofit focusing on mental health. For her, a new suicide prevention hotline is personal.
As the survivor of my brother's suicide, it really means so much to me to know that lives will be saved through culture change and through bringing more prominence to the issues around suicide prevention that this 3-digit number will bring.
For years, the suicide prevention hotline has been a 10-digit 800 number. Mental health experts say shortening it makes it easier to remember and could save lives in the process.
When we're in an emergency situation, we're stressed and it's hard for us to remember a lot of things. And so I think the idea behind moving to a 3-digit number related to suicide is to facilitate people being able to contact help easily and quickly.
Each year, more than 47,000 people in the U.S. die by suicide. That's one person nearly every 12 minutes.
If you look at where we are now, it's the highest numbers of suicide we've seen since World War II. So clearly we need to change something. We need to get something done, and having a really easily accessible 3-digit code is the way to go.
A move welcomed by those forced to face a loved one's lost to suicide.
There's so much change on the horizon.
In Washington, D.C., I'm Maya Rodriguez reporting.
Maya, thank you. And beyond that number change, experts caution there needs to be more money for local call centers around the country to take on higher call volume from that new number. Now, if you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, you want to call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. You see the number right here on your screen. That is 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-8255. eBay is making some big changes today because it says it will ban all infant incline sleepers from the site. This comes after Consumer Reports sent letters to more than a dozen sellers pushing for them to remove the products. Consumer Reports has found dozens of cases where infants were killed as a result of the sleepers. eBay's ban goes into effect immediately.
Purdue University plans to study the safety of electric skateboards and scooters in response to a rash of serious injuries on campus. Purdue President Mitch Daniels said the study will look at the extreme safety issues posed by electric skateboards, scooters, and other personal electronic devices. He said one student recently suffered a near-fatal accident while using an electric skateboard. Daniels says a task force would propose new policies for electric vehicles.
Well, this goes back to like 1967, just reading about this Christmas at the zoo. It's grown a little bit each year. Isn't that awesome with our Salesforce camera? So you're
looks great. It's like we're there.
White River, yeah, and you can be there till 9 o'clock tonight, and then as you get to Friday and Saturday, the hours a little bit later until 10 o'clock in the evening. Look at that. Temperatures, they're starting to cool off a little bit. We had the skies clear, and you can see a little reflection off of White River. Temperature trend as we go into the next few days, we'll be back into the the 40s with the warmest day arriving on Thursday. Temperatures will actually go above average. Headlines then for tonight. Gradual clearing is taking place western half of the state. Be patient. It will happen for you too as well to the east. The wind will gust well over 20 miles per hour tomorrow, but sunshine is also set to return. The big picture, you can see some snow showers in Ohio. Back to the west, we're getting clearing skies. That will continue as we go through the overnight, and just a few clouds tomorrow. Temperatures still comfortable, lower 40s to the south and west, and upper 30s in the eastern portion of the state. The wind tonight generally around 10 miles per hour out of the west. Temperatures eventually do drop below the freezing mark. Tomorrow, noon, 40 degrees. That west wind going up to 20. We'll have gusts to 30 through the afternoon. 4 o'clock, partly sunny, 43. That should be our afternoon high temperature in Indianapolis. Couple spots may hit the mid 40s as you go to the south. Beyond that, on Thursday, the change a little warmer, still a mixture of clouds and sunshine. The wind will be much calmer on Thursday. We hope to see you on Monument Circle for the 6 Shines On Toy Drive. Should be a beautiful day for that.
2 school districts hundreds of miles apart are learning the impact a fast-spreading sickness can have. Chloe Nordquist showing us how this is serving as a warning to other districts.
It closed a school district in western Colorado, and days later, another school district in Oregon. Both schools posting on Facebook that a mysterious illness was what forced them to close their doors.
What we're suspecting it is at this time is very much acting like a norovirus.
This virus caused thousands of students to miss days of school as Mesa County Valley School District shut down to decontaminate.
It spreads really like wildfire through a community.
Dr. Chris Nyquist is the medical director of infection prevention at Children's Hospital Colorado.
I think norovirus is one of those viruses that comes up in wintertime often when you have small communities, thinking about schools where a lot of kids are together. It's very contagious, spreads quickly.
Norovirus generally causes vomiting, diarrhea, and exhaustion that can last days.
The best method that these schools have done in conjunction with talking to their health department is to really shut down and do extensive cleaning.
And that's just what the district did. As you can see from this video they posted on their Facebook page. It's an illness that can transfer easily through close contact, and symptoms start only hours later.
Yesterday, before the school district shut down, we were aware of at least 13 schools within School District 51 that had increased absenteeism levels due to illness. And that number was growing.
In a small community like Grand Junction, Colorado, or Albany, Oregon, an outbreak like this can have a large impact.
The thing that's really special and unique about rural Colorado is that schools oftentimes are the hub of the community.
Elaine Belansky is with the Center for Rural Health and Education at the University of Denver.
They don't have that many boots on the ground to address big challenges like this.
But both communities are doing what they can to stop it from spreading, just as the holidays begin. As for prevention, Dr. Nyquist says the best thing to do is wash your hands with soap and water. I'm Chloe Nordquist reporting.
Chloe, thank you. Let's start the news feed. Mammograms could one day do more than just detect breast cancer. Doctors are hoping they could one day detect heart disease. The test could find buildups in arteries. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in American women. Law enforcement is keeping an eye on marijuana vaping. Authorities have seized at least 510,000 marijuana vape cartridges nationwide. They've also arrested more than 120 people in the past 2 years as they crack down on vaping's black market. Facebook is expanding efforts to stop ad discrimination. The social network's been criticized for its algorithm excluding minorities and older people from seeing certain ads. Facebook is enforcing rules that stop people from targeting groups for ads on housing, jobs, and credit. Well, we often hear a lot about the low unemployment rate, but there's a new report that's highlighting the state of U.S. jobs. The Brookings Institution looked at just how much people are making, and they found just under half the population are low-wage workers. That means they make around $10 an hour or $18,000 a year. And these aren't just part-time jobs we're talking about. The reality is there are people in their prime working age that are in many cases the sole breadwinner for their families.
Most of the jobs that we lost during the recession were for people with a high school diploma or less. And most of the jobs that we gained back, when we finally did gain them back, went to people with at least some post-secondary education.
The labor market today tends to reward employees already making more money, and those with bachelor degrees are better, yet only about 30% of U.S. adults have a degree.
On the one side, there is a lot to be done to help workers improve their skills, whether it's a degree or a certificate or on-the-job training. We can do that a lot better.
Now, in terms of solutions, researchers say that businesses can change their hiring and pay practices. A new bill would help out seasonal workers. The plan would make the part-time workers eligible for pension as well as medical leave. It would also require companies to offer current employees more hours before bringing on new staff. All right, next in our lineup, we know that companies like Amazon and Facebook, they track us. But you likely don't expect your bank to take advantage of your spending habits. We're going to show you how it could be cashing in.